Hey y'all, it is April the 17th. I thought it was the 18th. I don't know. It's 2020. We are live on the internet, and I can't even barely believe it. Y'all, we're going to dive into things tonight. All right. First of all, and this is first and foremost, shout out to everybody, to include the people who I don't remember to bring up right now. All right. But shout out to everybody. Right? You already know Brenda from Unwrapped by Brenda. She's got a channel and it's awesome. It's wonderful. Um, Shout out to everybody out there. Bart Fine, for sure, all day long. Jojo Cinco, by the way. Shout out to Brandon from Just Another Channel. All sort of people. He's making big moves up in Austin. He did big moves the other day. You might want to check out his channel where he's bullhorning people up in Austin, saying you might want to make some money now. All right. Shout out to, like I said, Brenda. Shout out to Angela. All right. You heard me? Me and Angela, sometimes we don't agree on some things. All right. But God bless Angela out there. D, shout out to everybody across the world. I mean, Valentine Hog over there in India. I've been hearing things about India. Trust me about that. Wild things. I've seen people getting hit with poles in India. Do you know what I'm talking about? Valentine Hog out there. If you see me and you hear me, all right, people getting hit with poles and stuff by the police. Kind of get reprimanded. Shout out to Maitre Mark over there in Tasmania. I hear some weird things about Australia. All right. Shout out to Joe Green. Shout out to Anaconda Malt Liquor. Shout out to everybody. All right. Since from the past, shout out to Keith Hatch. Shout out to, man, who all sort of Pauls. Shout out to we got Andrews out there. Shoot, shout out to Philip Andrews out there. Shout out to Phillips out there. All right, there's too many people to remember, but it's all sort of people down the line, and I feel very blessed by that. I appreciate y'all. And actually, what we're gonna do, and I gotta explain. This is why I was a little bit later than I wanted to be. I wanted to get on here exactly at 8, but I just couldn't. All right, because we're fixing to go through a news blitz, and I had to get rid of some dang screenshots. All right, now I have you know, I just deleted right before the broadcast about 400 screenshots. All right, and it's just you already know. So you take a screenshot of what you find interesting. It's on your screen right now. All right, and I'm talking about in the last maybe week to maybe week and a half that I was taking these screenshots. They built up. They really built up, and you got to understand that they're wild, right? Most of the screenshots I'll probably not even ever share with y'all, right? Typically, I share with you the most recent, and even in that, just the most crucial, and I wind up deleting a lot of them, right? That being said, of course, there's no way we could get through this. I mean, screenshots, I don't know how many screenshots, about 186. There's no way that we're going to get through that, but we're going to try our best to see what we're going to do as far as the news blitz. Get a news blitz out of the way, right? I'm not going to elaborate on what we're seeing right now. What we're seeing right now is on visuals. Of course, you could just listen because I'm going to shout out the headlines to you, right? And we're just going to breeze right through them because if I elaborate on them, we're never going to get through them. All right. But after we breeze right through them, we're going to touch back and go back to the important things. And of course, shout out to the people up in the building. And you could leave a comment. Let me know what it is that we breeze through that you especially want to hear about. All right. Or you find especially concerning and disturbing. All right. That being said, let's just roll through. Let's take a breath and then roll through the news blitz. All right. Texas new abortion restrictions will actually do more to spread the coronavirus than prevent it, says Slate Publications. All right. Climate change, U.S. mega drought already underway. But that's from the BBC. Take that for what you will. With a grain of salt. Planet K considering legal action over closure of San Antonio. There's plenty of people who will have to consider legal action against the city of San Antonio, namely Ron Nirenberg, namely Judge Nelson Wolff and their cohorts. All right, that's WOAI. Let's see what we got next. Bernie's Bernice tells Cardi B he plans to make Biden more progressive. The most sickening thing that I've ever seen, probably in my life. The DC shorts, all right? Sickening. Absolutely grotesque. All right? If you throw up, you might want to throw up. Proves China covered up coronavirus. That might be almost banned, but that's China Uncensored. Thai China Meme War. One of my most favorite, and I gotta say, one of the most crucial YouTube channels in all of YouTube. That would be China Uncensored. Check that out. All right, they've been going hard for a while about China. Don't even look at women. Elliot Hulse, 8.8 thousand views within 3 hours. Elliot Hulse knows what the hell he's talking about, all right? And I didn't actually see the video. I don't know what he's talking about, but at the same time, yeah, all right, he knows what he's talking about. Okay, they are starting to feel the pressure. Who's they? This guy right here. He done made an appearance on Ellen, I believe. I have not seen the video, but you know how it goes. Miami-Dade mayor says it might be a year until social distancing ends. What does that mean? Well, social distancing is a word or a pairing of words that was only made up, I don't know, a couple months ago. I don't know what it means. Quarantine is destroying relationships and marriages. I don't know what he said in this video. I haven't had time to actually dive, too hard into these recent screenshots, but JD Black live streams explaining what we already knew and we already discussed, and he already knew it, and we all knew it. Local farmers get back to growing by selling directly to customers. I thought that was very interesting. We're going to go through the news blitz, but just 1 second, I want to say I've seen this before in which people, like, for example, could go to apple orchards and pick their own apples. So they pay the orchard person, and they pick their own apples, and they get food, and everybody gets money, and we all win. And screw all these other people. When I say other people, I don't mean other people. Screw, the big box stores and stuff that we're getting funneled into, and we're supposed to give them all of our money right now and stuff. And meanwhile, they might put us on hold for a week or something while they deliver and collate. Sheriff fends attacks from political opponents during pandemic. Only if you knew the history of this channel in Broward County would you see how devastating whatever this is going on is. It's very devastating. All right. Parents face concerns over putting vaccines on hold during pandemic. Parents face concerns over putting vaccines on hold during pandemic. I could only imagine what direction they're going to take this one. But of course, they want to put mystery potions into this beautiful baby. And they want zero liability, basically. All right. Aaron Carter, a bachelor's life is no life for a single man. And I know, first of all, we shouldn't even be showing this photo. Why? But, why? Aaron Carter's taking pictures of himself while he's naked and he's smoking reefer, I guess. He's got his ex-girlfriend or his current girlfriend's name tattooed over his eyebrow like a damn. He said a bachelor's life is no life for a single man. And I can't even hardly believe it, but that's the times we're living in. All right. Chimp forced to ride bike. And see, I believe this is fake news anyways, but chimp forced to ride bike, spray disinfectant at a hellhole zoo. And I'm tired of hearing like the most wild stories. Really? What's going on? He's on a bicycle spraying disinfectant. Why do you have the monkey doing it if you got the monkey on a leash? It's fake news, but like people are making up some wild news. Freeze-dried fecal matter taken orally. I cut off the top of that headline. Actually, that was for I forget what that's for. That sounds bad though. All right. And also the 5G towers, they be getting vandalized. Not by me. I don't endorse such things. Quarantine leads to murder. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but allegedly cannibalism suspected in Brooklyn. All right. I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about COVID. That's the whole the origin of this whole matter, right? So you try not to catch COVID. You're eating people. That sounds to me like you're going to catch it. Why Michael Savage is blasting the right wing media over the virus? That was interesting. But like we said, we're on a news blitz. That was pretty interesting. Medical experts to answer. He said people want to guess when they can open up, but without data and without guidance from the health community. I'm tired of all these communities. We're on a news blitz, but all these communities are made up and fake and stupid. All right, the community is the community that you live in and your neighbors. That's called a community. All right, I think that plans are going to vary across the nation, said Judge Nelson Wolf. Some states have less problems than we do. In fact, actually, we don't have much of a problem. Well, the thing is, our biggest problem is Judge Nelson Wolf and Ron Nirenberg. Medical health experts joined task force to guide reopening of San Antonio. Doesn't make any sense, but this is off of, I think the Rivard Report. Yeah, that's a miserable publication by Iris Dominic. And how dare you be named Iris, for one. Number one, all right? And I take personal offense at that, but medical health experts joined task force reopening America. So, I mean, no, not America, but San Antonio specifically. Very break-in. All right. How would they have any clue? You're talking about health experts and opening businesses. What would they have any idea about that? All right. That's why Assistant City Manager, former Metro Health Director Colleen Britcher has compared them to a hurricane spaghetti models. See, that's the thing. I mean, that might be totally legitimate, but when you call stuff spaghetti models and stuff, it just sounds stupid to me. Nothing brought more joy to the joy of painting's Bob Ross than squirrels. That might be so, and that might be awesome. That's a weird, weird photo. I took a picture of that. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. Brian Dennehy, he died, but he didn't die of COVID, or else we'd know about it. All right, God bless him. Mom discovers family photo and face mask video on Facebook that claimed her family died of COVID-19. All right. In other words, fake news, and someone used her family to claim that they died. In fact, a lot of people are saying people died on Facebook and social medias, and they're lying, actually. All right. So, shout out the person up in the building. I'm going to keep on the comments and stuff. Let me know if you want me to tone it down a little bit, but we're not going to go too much further. I want to dive in a little bit further into these screenshots, but Lord knows I'm not going to be able to go through all 158 of them. So, Land of Lakes. And I mean, this one just hurt my heart. Land of Lakes drops racist Native American image from packaging after nearly 100 years. I mean, it was open for 100 years, and they always had this lady, an Indian Native, they've always had this lady, and now they're going to drop it because it's racist. What is that going to prove anyways? Y'all been racist for 100 years, supposedly. Right? Meanwhile, it's a beautiful Native American lady, and with butter, it's like, what's bad about this? Stupid, dumb Native American lady making me butter. God, what's her problem? Stupid, dumb animal. Why would she do that? Bernie Sanders thinks the media cost him the nomination. I mean, Bernie Sanders. God, he just wants to rub your face in it. Not our face in it, but his supporters. He wants to rub your dang nose in it like a dog abuser would rub a dog's nose up in it long and hard. That's what he wants to do. Blaming the quote media. Oh man, that's terrible. I don't even want to read this because it's so stupid. All right, report. COVID-19 patients recovering quickly after getting experimental drug. And you might have heard about that, but they got remdesivir. I still don't know how to pronounce that, but I've been hearing about that for a while. And then, of course, you got the what we discussed a long time ago, what everybody knows about already, hydroxychloroquine. Paired with zinc and these Z packs and vitamin C's and vitamin D's and vitamin A's and all sort of stuff. There's all sort of things that you might want to look into if you're falling dead of COVID. All right. And actually, I'm getting reports that it's much rarer than they thought it was. All right. Basically, like they were saying, oh, it's going to get us all. Now their models and their projections and their stupid animations are proving to be dumb. So like we always should have known, and the numbers are less. Now they're taking credit for this. And you already know who's they. Bill, might as well say Bill Gates, Fauci, what, Dr. Birx, blah blah blah, whatever their names are, and Barack Obama. They're saying that they did good, and that all these stupid Democratic mayors are saying, "Oh, we did so good because we locked you down, and that's why you're not bursting over with disease and dying all over the place." It's like, man, the numbers just ain't adding up, y'all. And you're gonna take credit for it. Meanwhile, that doesn't make any damn difference. Like, as if went to your front door and sold you some bear spray and said, "Here, if you spray this around your front door, guess what? It's no bears. It's a bear repellent. All right, professional, a spray." And then you spray it on your door. It's like, dude, there were no bears to begin with, anyways. There's no way to actually say that you did it. There is no way. And meanwhile, you're up here in lab coats and carrying on and like being like, "Oh yeah, we know we did this. You're welcome. We're saving your lives." All right, it's becoming a real problem. Real problem. Anyways, Gates ups pandemic funds 250 million. That's just what it is. It really doesn't matter to Gates. And he's probably talking trash about Donald Trump and stuff. And so it becomes very clear, more and more clear with every day, what exactly is going on here. Roger Stone denied new trial, but a gag order has been lifted apparently. And we don't have the screenshot in front of us, but I heard that he was talking crap about Bill Gates. All right, the lines are being drawn, buddy. Very clearly, the lines are being drawn. Trump's assault on Postal Service could be catastrophic, according to Salon.com. It's a publication named after a damn beauty salon. I mean, where birds go to chirp, basically. And that's all that's happening in these publications, Salon.com. And they're trying. See, I have a weird feeling it has something to do with the election and the fact they want the election conducted through the mail, all postal service style. They don't give a dang, dude. They know that we know that they're damn cheaters, and we know exactly what methods they want to carry out, and then they carry them out or they attempt to carry them out anyways. I mean, that's gangster, ain't it? While driving alone, blah, 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 or with passengers who, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. Okay, check this out. I took a screenshot of this. Face coverings are not required under the following circumstances, and I believe this is in regards to San Antonio, but it may very well be a general rule depending on where you're at in the nation or the world, all right? But it says when exercising, I was trying to figure out what's the exact rules. The quote rules. When exercising outside or engaging in physical activity, I can be outside without a mask and it's not illegal, which is kind of good because I run around and I wouldn't exactly want to run around with a damn mask. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, not against my will. It's like it makes it hard to breathe. While driving alone or with passengers who are part of the same household as the driver. Now, these rules are completely fantastical and whimsical. For sure. And people are like, "Oh yes, okay, this is reasonable. This is a reasonable rule." Meanwhile, it's fantastical and whimsical because while driving alone with passengers who are not part of the same, how in the world would you even know whether or not the passengers are part of the same household? How would you even know? How would you know? Like if a police pulls you over and says, "Hey, you guys, I pulled you over. You don't even look the same, and so you might not be related. What's going on with y'all?" And then he's like, "Do y'all live in the same household?" And you'd be like, "Yeah." And he'd be like, "Prove it." And how are you gonna prove it? All right, you might say pull out your identification and your papers and stuff. It still doesn't even matter. What if it's not up to date? Y'all could still be living in the same house. It's really unprovable. When doing so possesses a greater mental or physical health. So basically, this bullet point is completely over the top ambiguous. All right. So it means that you had to wear a mask unless wearing a mask poses a greater mental or physical health, safety, and security risk. That's completely, entirely vague and up to the person who's trying to command everybody and make up the rules. So while pumping gas or operating outdoor equipment, that one, I have to admit, I have no idea why they would even say that. Hopefully you can help me out there. I want to know Why would they say this? Pumping gas, like, as anybody cares. Why would anybody care about the pumping gas and outdoor equipment? I don't know. While in a building or engaged in activity that requires security, surveillance, and screening, like at banks. And it's crazy. They say it's like at banks. Okay, you can't wear a mask in the bank because that's always been a rule for obvious reasons. But in the same regard, convenience stores are the same exact thing on a lesser scale. You'll still rob them and get their money. And so it blows my mind that people are allowed to even go into convenience stores with masks. But now, if I understand correctly, it's been made the rules in San Antonio so you can't even step foot in a gas station without having a mask on. Right? What kind of safety implications? Of astronomical proportions, especially when some people are broke as hell for the first time in their life. So I mean, wow, like wow, we need to the in San Antonio, just like probably in your area, we need to defy these rules almost immediately. I'm not encouraging that to anybody out there because I could that could be used against me in a court of law, but I'm not encouraging that. I'm not saying do it, but I'm saying we hypothetically we would have to do it immediately in order to make sure um, that we don't all succumb to criminality and death and chaos. Right? I'm not saying let's not go down that route. I mean, if we follow the rules, and let's all follow the rules, but if we do follow the rules, plenty of death and chaos is going to be abounding. All right. And then also while consuming food or drink. So if you're outside for some reason and you're consuming food and drink, you don't have to wear a mask. Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. Because I know a lot of people would be very confused about that. And they'd be trying to figure out just exactly what hole they should shove their food into now due to the fact that they got a mask on their face. All right. Meanwhile, uh, you could just walk around all day and like maybe eat on some candy and you don't have to wear a mask at all. You just be eating on candy, be like, hey, I'm eating on some candy. I'm chewing on some gum. And I can't have a mask on. It's part of the rules. And also, it's for my mental health too. So, and I plan on pumping gas later. So, I don't have to wear a mask. All right. But they're not going to let you in the grocery. Basically, the long and short of it is they're not going to let you in the grocery stores and the gas stations without shaming you into being stupid as hell. All right. So, I think a lot of people were going to take offense to that. And I wanted to go further into this news blitz. All right. But. Sometimes we get caught up in stuff, man. Sometimes we get caught up. In fact, the one that actually, what were we just looking at? This one was actually crucial. We just got done looking at the bullet points, which don't make any sense. And gosh, this one was crucial. It's, sometimes it happens, but local news, this baby Armani Cesares. On a side note, but also pretty dang crucial, born February 25th, has been in intensive care. And just to let you know, chances are probably not going to make it. All right? Just to let you know, going into it. He was shot by his mother's 19-year-old boyfriend. Here's the thing. Them referring to him as a 19-year-old boyfriend means automatically that that man is not the father of that baby. Okay, so I mean, for what it's worth, he's not the father of that baby. So some strange man, your new boyfriend, somehow, while you had this just born baby, which blows my mind, but in San Antonio, proven to be quite typical, shot the baby in the chest, amongst other things. All right, so the baby's clinging to life. The baby ain't gonna make it. I'm here to tell you. All right, it's pretty messed up, but you know what I'm saying? Like, do you know what I'm getting at? I think that you do. Children, for example, okay, just real briefly, I would suggest that we're going through tough times. In a sense, it's like very chaotic. People are trying their best to bend us over a barrel and stuff like that. We know that as adults, but even worse, the most suffering is to the children The reason is because of our decisions and our just ineffectiveness, and we've gotten all morally just lazy and stupid and fell asleep. All right, and all the children are suffering very much so from this. All right, not just the ones being shot in the chest as babies. I don't know how far we can go into this screenshot rundown before we go back into some of the more crucial things, like Dr. Fauci endorses Tinder hookups if you're willing to take a risk and stuff. And I don't know that he actually said that, but this is really a problem. This guy's really a problem, to be honest. And I wish him a long, long life. I don't know why he's posing like that necessarily, but I wish him a long, long life and all sort of prosperity. But I also don't want to see his face, like his stupid face, ever again. Personally, I hope, and like I said, no ill will towards him. Don't want to see his stupid face. Okay, lines are drawn quite clearly. It's going to become more clear as the days and even the hours go by. But check this out. More health workers dying off than data suggests. I don't know if that's true. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But a lot of these healthcare workers are doing choreographed dances on TikTok like some damn monkeys. Fauci endorses Twitter hookup. Oh, yeah, I already saw that one. Dogs face abuse. Certainly they do. Everybody's facing all sort of abuse and chaos and destruction due to this here safety measures that we're taking. These guys look crazy evil. I think you already know who these people are, don't you? If you take a visual, take a little visual, I bet you already know their names. Don't forget their names, but I don't even have to tell you. All right, because you remember, meanwhile, they got this guy behind them and stuff, man. It's a creepy photo, but they meant to take it like this. I'm not sure even what we're looking at. That might be the dude's wiener. That might not even, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what the hell we were looking at, to be honest. It's weird, but it's evil. It's perverse and evil, but the thing is, it also reminded me of Ghostbusters. For those who remember, for those who are not millennials, Ghostbusters. Back in the day, they had that guy who popped out of that painting, and he was super evil, and that was the point. Michigan governor dismisses massive protests as a political stunt. And look at this lady's face. I don't even know this lady. She only became familiar to me quite recently, but look at her face, all right? If I even had to tell you anything, all right, I'm not saying judge people, but if I had to tell you something about this face, then I'm not even going to say it, all right? But meanwhile, all these people are like, oh man, can we please even visit our relatives? Is that possible? Can we make America somehow not a complete, total prison state? Where's the party? I don't know. That was a stream that I checked out. Man threatened mass shooting at Publix. Nah, man, this is just, don't you get it? There's a lot of chaos. Jail inmates to be released? Sure. Yeah. Free them all. Yeah, that's true. It's a good protest. Lavender and stuff, man. How long does lavender live? It lives a long time, all right? And it's very good. Man, it's all sort of stuff. We don't have time to go through all these things. But look at all these things. The myriad of things. This Indiana man checked bank account and he was looking for his stimulus and he found $8 million, right? That's the thing about this stimulus. For sure, guaranteed, obviously, since day one, people are going to get money. See, this guy, you know about him because he was like, hey, this is wrong. And obviously you would. There's no way that you'd let $8 million go in your account without telling somebody, because you know for a fact that somebody's going to find out and you're going to go straight directly to prison. So instead of acting a damn fool, you do notify people and say, hey, look, I know this ain't right. You're saying I got $8 million and I do not. And so that's what this guy did. And that was the right decision, all right? Anybody who would ever think, see, some people out there think twice and be like, oh, maybe I can cash out and run away and blah, blah, blah. Not going to happen. They're going to arrest the crap out of you. They will hunt you down for sure. With robots even. It doesn't matter where you're at. So he did the right thing. But meanwhile, for sure, there's other people who's getting money, getting these funds. This is just an example of whatever, of like, oh, we're going to throw money out there and whoever catches it, oh, well, I guess they catch it. And if our buddies catch it a lot more, well, dang it, I'm sorry, but they're not going to. See, there's people out there, obviously, and you already know it, who are getting money from the stimulus check, who knows how much, and just not saying a word because they know nobody's going to come down on them. right? Why? Because they know people, right? And so there's a reason they're getting all this here funny money. Bicyclists files police complaint against CNN's Chris Cuomo following the intense spat. Dude, this dude keeps on having outbursts. He's having a lot of problems. You can see it in his face too. Like it's wearing on him. I don't know how much sleep he gets, um, but it's wearing on him. And I don't mean to poke fun too much at him. I'm just saying it's wearing on him. He's cracking. All right, God bless him. Like I wish him the best, but he's cracking. Three surprising ways. I mean, I think we've gone through just too much stuff, right? I don't want to see, the thing is, after a while, my brain just gets tired, and I'm like, dang, that's too many things. It's too many things to keep all in my brain, so I don't want to overwhelm anybody, to include myself. But Jazz has a massive breakdown for a few hours before giving her, I don't know, some drugs probably. And that's a dude, by the way. But Jazz, God bless Jazz. I love Jazz, and I'll fight you about it. That's Jazz Jennings. We talked about her a little bit. She's a dude. Jazz has a massive breakdown for a few hours, and just, I mean, and the thing is, the reason I bring it up is the road to destruction. It's filled with Satan. I'm not saying it's Jazz's fault because Jazz technically is a child, basically. And I know Jazz is about to become an adult, but Jazz has already been butchered, and I wish that Jazz wasn't butchered, but it did happen. And it's having all sort of breakdowns because the butchering did not, in any regards, mitigate the meltdowns that will be had down this road of destruction that's filled with Satan. Now, I love Jazz Jennings, right? Not bullying Jazz Jennings, but it is crucial, and it's a world of pain right there. $100 million apartment projects aims to be San Antonio's new front door. You know, here's the thing. I actually mentioned this to a friend, and I said, I saw an article the other day. It said this exact thing. And I couldn't find a screenshot because I had like 500 screenshots. And so I was like, man, you're going to have to take my word for it. But I know I saw that they said this. They said an apartment project aims to be San Antonio's new front door. An apartment project aims to be San Antonio's new front door, if you could even imagine. So it's like if you just take in different factors that have been implemented for well over a decade here in San Antonio, you'll see the direction that they wanted to take this anyways. And in that, it's like a city, just real briefly, it's a city that economically is going to remain viable due to the military, due to this and that, medical center, blah, blah, blah. And so it's going to have infrastructure to remain open during all sort of chaos and calamity that they plan, right? And they've pretty much been planning. Whether or not they knew how exactly it would come about doesn't really matter. They were planning for it and setting up for it. San Antonio is a perfect example of like a democratic stronghold that's been had fraudulent elections for years and years and years. Very fraudulent, right? Over the top. And so they've been selling out San Antonio, just real briefly. I don't want to get too far into it, but the culture of San Antonio has been trampled upon for as long as I can remember. And it's becoming farther and farther away from what it used to be. And it used to be like heaven on earth, according to various country songs that are well known. All right, so they took that and they stomped all over it and they sold it out. Meanwhile, economically, it's always been bolstering since as long as I can remember because we get that money. All right. And people do actually work their hearts out here. To the point is they put their own health at risk and they do stupid stuff and they get diabetes, right? And so all this stuff's being traveled on. It's being sold out for years and years now to corporations and different various food chains, especially because San Antonio loves to eat. But meanwhile, if you travel around 1604, you will see the same thing over and over and over and over, the same exact things all around San Antonio. It doesn't make any sense except to say is our small businesses have been sold out for a long time. Okay, so now we go into this COVID thing, blah, blah, blah. It's just so convenient. But the thing is, we've already been building up to a San Antonio that for some reason would have a front door that looks like apartment projects. All right. I don't know if you understand how insulting that is to San Antonio, but it's mad insulting. All right. I mean, yeah, it's a big city, but we're kind of spread out. We kind of like our space and stuff. To have that as a front door is absolutely an offense to us, but that's what's been building up on many different, actually, um, facets to San Antonio and stuff, man. They've been doing that, Ron Nerberg. Anyways, that's very crucial. People's drawing a line now. Before we go back and cover some of these more crucial, little bits of information that we got here, I want to discuss. It's pretty obvious, all right. It's the elephant in the room. I don't know. I don't know if we just state this right as we're going in, but we got a serious situation on our hands, right? That carries on day to day, and it gets worse and worse. And from what I understand, like it doesn't matter what country you're in, you're facing all sort of calamity. And the biggest part of the calamity is the liberties in which you had and just basked in, basically, to include the liberty of going to work. That's been taken away. And now you're left in all sort of mystery and confusion as to whether or not you'll be able to pay your bills and feed your family and stuff. All right. And probably the most crucial note, and it seems too simple. It almost seems like it shouldn't be this simple. Most crucial note, and a lot of people won't heed to this, all right? And they already know who they are. But is that we got a Billy Gates, we got a Dr. Fauci, we got a Birx. I wish them the best. They seem like they're in cahoots, all right? And they seem like they're in collusion with the likes of, say, Chinese communists, all right? I don't know if that sounds too vague, but these people are doing the mess around and all sort of conspiracizing, all right? And I have theories about it, all right? A lot of people have theories. And so what they want, we already clearly know what they want. All right? They made it abundantly clear. And some people might not see. There's people. I just want to focus on those people for right now, right? And no matter who you're at, you have your opinions on other people doing their thing, to include the president and how trustworthy he is. Blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, for sure. But these three seem to be in cahoots, if I'm not mistaken. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. And working with, say, the likes of Communist China, and supporting such organizations as the WHO. Meanwhile, the WHO has proven to not be worth a damn. Right? Not even the slightest. If you can point me out an example in which the WHO actually benefited us in recent history, God bless you. All right? Yeah, I would appreciate that if you could. They have not helped us out, especially on this here corona. All right. And to include the CDC, who I'm personally offended because the CDC pretty much has some, what you would call neglectful accidents up in San Antonio that led to all sort of calamity. They personally, there's people who were working at the CDC who allowed all sort of tomfoolery to go on. All right. And I know about it. The WHO, Bill Gates, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, what do they want? What do they keep saying? Right? What direction do they seem to be taking us? Obviously, it's that vaccine. Right? And for whatever it's worth, yeah, sure, there could be something going on behind the scenes. And if it is, how would any of us really know what it is? That's what's the deal with behind the scenes. But up front, we have a situation in which, and I haven't caught really the updates, press conferences, or whatever today. I hadn't had time for that, but I've been keeping up with them, and it seems as though Donald Trump's playing it real cool. A lot of people have objections to me saying that. Please feel free to do so and interject. But it looks like Donald Trump's playing it cool. That's what it looks like. I have no choice but to just go on what it looks like. And so Donald Trump, he seems to be playing it cool. And of course, there's the whole idea of the vaccine. See, the vaccine, they already know if you were to include testing, somewhat long-term testing, of course not long-term testing, but somewhat long-term. All right, that vaccine's over a year out. So good luck waiting on the vaccine and stuff. Like, these people are perpetrating right to your damn face. Now, if they could get away with not testing it at all, not even a little bit, they would do it. But they realized that Donald Trump already put it out there, dude. If you're gonna be smart, you got to go with something time tested. Meanwhile, you got these different various drugs, resmetirom or whatever. You got hydroxychloroquine and stuff. These are time tested by a long, long time. You understand? Like there's safely implications. Meanwhile, people keep talking about vaccines and it doesn't even make sense. If you're trying to cure the thing, if we have a problem on our hands, you're trying to cure it, why don't you cure it right now instead of foregoing the cures that we may have right now and dreaming up some sort of fantasy cure, even though the Bill Gates vaccine, that's already in holding. That's waiting right now. It's just waiting for people to get so desperate. All right. Meanwhile, the media comes out, and you've seen all sort of the media come out and be like, "Oh, we can't do these drugs that the people are suggesting." All these doctors and Donald Trump and all these people who's getting better. We can't do those because we don't know enough about them. But they've been around since forever. But we don't know if they'll work. Meanwhile, that's the thing. They're like there are people out there in publications right now, without calling their names, that who are saying, we don't know if they'll work, we don't know if they'll work, we don't know if they'll work. They have been working. There's countless examples of them working. So what do you mean we don't know that they work? What does that even mean? What it means is don't try anything, hold out on that vaccine, wear a mask while you sleep, wear a mask while you're in the bathtub, and just all sort of stuff. Like that's exactly what it means. All right, meaning we have no desire to help you right now. Our desire is to wait on Bill Gates and his buddies to create up some sort of mystical potion, and it's going to save us all, right? And also, you should die in your home alone unless you get this vaccine, or my vaccine won't work. And no, it doesn't make no damn sense. Hey, I wanted to actually, while we're on that note, I forget what's Tom Hanks's wife's name. Whatever Tom Hanks's wife, what is it, Rita Wilson? Okay, I'm going to type in Rita Wilson. I want to check out, because I saw an article about her, and it's on the same note that was pretty damn interesting if you haven't seen it. This is Tom Hanks's wife, all right, and she has a different last name. I'll just leave it at that. But she came on, and I read an article. Certainly, there's going to be people copying and pasting it. I don't know which. Okay, it's actually this one from out of the Guardian, right? So we already see. There's a lot of people out there say that this is all a hoax and that nobody's dying. I think people are dying, but when you look at the numbers, you can compare it to, say, the flu of 2018. So that's just what the numbers are. So it's comparable at this point. That's not to say that it's impossible that it couldn't kick up, because it is 100% for sure admitted it's documented that this is a lab-borne disease that was manipulated in a lab in such ways to make it more contagious. That's why it's extremely contagious. A lot of people say that's a hoax. I don't think it is. I think it's very contagious. In fact, we've all had it since late last year, right? Almost we all had it. Like maybe half people have had it. I'm just saying it's widespread in America and probably everywhere else on Earth, right? And until everybody on Earth gets tested, there's really no way of knowing. And that's kind of dumb. But okay, so we got a problem, and we should deal with it, right? And we should try things that are already, time tested and proven and stuff like that. These people don't want to have nothing to do with the cure, to include this lady right here. And it's mind-blowing. It's mind-boggling. All right, but you can already see the headline. Look, Rita Wilson tells of extreme side effects of experimental COVID-19 drug chloroquine. And we all remember, for example, Tom Hanks, and people have always been murmuring about Tom Hanks, at least for quite some time now, but we all remember when Tom Hanks gleefully and spitefully, and who knows where this came from, but he said that Donald Trump would never be the president, that pigs would fly, and blah, blah, blah. So Tom Hanks was proven to be a dum-dum and really doesn't know nothing, just like most celebrities. So Rita Wilson's his wife and stuff, and you could, I mean, obviously that's an item that they put together. They don't talk about Rita Wilson unless they talk about their man, Tom Hanks. All right, he's always in the pictures. So Rita Wilson, she caught the corona allegedly, and so did Tom Hanks. Right, and like I said, I tend to believe that people really is dying, and that this corona thing actually is a thing, but it's being overhyped. All right, if we just look at the numbers. Meanwhile, if we go into this article, like I said, man, I heard testimonies from actual Democrat politicians, and I forget what's the lady's name, whose life was saved. Because, okay, so the situation was Donald Trump said, hey, open up to hydroxychloroquine, stop banning it. We need people to be able to take it if indeed they need to take it. Now, people who've been describing coming down with this corona and coming down with it really bad to where the point is they almost about get put on ventilators, and that is a very serious situation. They describe it like I was pretty sure I was gonna freaking die. All right, and so you don't typically feel like you're gonna actually die unless there's a good chance that you might. And so, and they get the hydroxychloroquine, they get treated and stuff with the rismariv, and they wind up living. And then they turn around to the people who gave them the things that made them, caused them to live instead of die in excruciating pain. And they say, thank you, I appreciate it, you saved my life. Now, you might call those people conspiracy theorists. And you could turn around and say, well, you might have lived without those drugs, so how the hell do you know? And maybe those drugs aren't safe that you took. And meanwhile, they'll turn around and be like, what the hell are you talking about? I almost just died. And they'd be like, well, I think those drugs, you shouldn't be allowed to have those drugs. We're creating a vaccine that might save your life later. Okay, but Rita Wilson is a crazy, crazy example. I have no idea who she is. I heard she was an actress. I've never seen none of the movies, and I'm sorry about that, but Rita Wilson tells of extreme side effects. This is a person who's, just like I described to you, given the hydroxychloroquine and the other different various things you got to take. I don't know how bad she felt, and we're going to find out in this article. Let's see if they talk about it. It's from Naman Zuzu. All right. And she's going to describe just how bad she felt. I don't know if she was on death's door or how bad she was feeling necessarily. Let's get a taste of it. Let's just go ahead and read a little bit. Get it from the horse's mouth. The singer Rita Wilson has claimed to have suffered extreme side effects after being treated. Extreme side effects. Dang. Wow. That calls into question the efficacy of the drug. If you have extreme side effects, maybe that's not the drug to take, right? That's what's implied. After being treated with the experimental COVID-19 drug, chloroquine. Now, it doesn't matter that this drug has been time tested for a long, long time, and it's led to basically nobody's deaths, which sometimes drugs do, and everybody knows it. That's just the thing about drugs. Sometimes they lead to your death. Chloroquine in Australian hospital. All right. So Wilson, who was touring Australia with her hubby, Mr. Tom Hanks, a proven dum-dum who knows nothing, was filming a Baz Luhrmann, whatever film about Elvis Presley. Oh, God bless him. Tell us more about Elvis Presley. Oh, God bless y'all. Both tested positive for COVID-19 on 12th of March while in Australia. So the drugs chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine are used to treat malaria, all right, which Bill Gates should have some sort of idea about. But their ability to treat COVID-19 is still disputed by experts. Oh, these experts. Don't you love hearing the word experts, right? And I know, man, I've heard so many people who are about tired of ever hearing the word experts ever again. So the experts, they dispute it. Meanwhile, the situation I described to you where people are freaking dying and then they get the stuff and they're no longer dying, that's not proof. That's not proof at all, according to the experts. The fact is that this proven drug really does not kill people. That's also not proven according to the experts. So, despite being touted by the U.S. president, that dirty dog Donald Trump, as a game changer, quote. So, Wilson and Hanks were admitted to Gold Coast University Hospital in Queensland for treatment, where Wilson said she was given a chloroquine after she developed a fever of, I don't know how to read 38.9 Celsius. I don't know what that means. All right, because over here it's like 100 degrees, like Fahrenheit. Now you're starting to have a fever. I don't know what that means. If I can get a translation, that'd be wonderful. They gave me chloroquine. She told American TV channel CBS. I know people have been talking about this drug. See, this is where we're going to get into the nitty gritty, right? But I can only tell you that I don't know if the drug worked or if it was just time for the fever to break. Now, there's been plenty of people, and I'm not going to totally discount these people who said that Tom Hanks and his dirty and his lovely wife, Rita Wilson, they never had this disease. They were virtue signaling, or they were faking, and they were juicy Smolletting all over the place. And some people would say that, and maybe that's possible, all right? But let's assume that they did have it, and Rita Wilson did have it. Now, she didn't describe being at death's door by any means. Not in this article. It made it seem like she had a fever and she was becoming upset, and it was kind of inconvenient. Is her experience. That's what it seems like. So then they gave her what Donald Trump, your most bitter enemy in all the world for some reason, what he said could be a solution, and they gave you this, and it broke your fever, and you no longer have problems. But you don't know if it worked. All right, that's the level these people are on. I don't know if it worked. I mean, my problems got alleviated and everything, and now I'm here and I'm not suffering, but I'm not sure if it even worked. Or if the fever would have just broke. So she's implying like, okay, maybe the virus was so not bad at all that it just broke and it was nothing and it didn't matter. That's what you're saying about the virus. Either that or the drug worked, and either way you're saying that the drug worked. Okay, but to continue, it says my fever did break, but the chloroquine has such extreme side effects. Now, before we go any further, yeah, we've heard about side effects. All right, we're called anti-vaxxers. Meanwhile, I don't believe an anti-vaxxer even exists, and I've already explained that, and I don't want to get too far into it. But they're saying, okay, we're anti-vaxxers. Meanwhile, we always bring up, okay, well, vaccines on record kill some people. They kill them or paralyze them or maybe sterilize them. They do all these things. They've been known to do all these things. They might give you diabetes. Like, they do anything. They'll give you cerebral palsy, and that's on record. They will mess you up sometimes, right? Forever, all right? Permanent. And, okay, we've always been talking about those side effects. So before we go any further, we've been talking, and those side effects, to me, in my personal opinion, are extreme. The cerebral palsy, the being crippled, the being killed and murdered. That to me is extreme. When you get murdered, that to me is not good. It's not very good. Getting sterilized and stuff, that's not too good. That sounds extreme. All right. So what side effects is she talking about? Okay, let's get into it. I was completely nauseous. I had vertigo, and my muscles felt very weak. I think people have to be very considerate about that drug. So, okay, you're describing side effects that not only are pretty damn mild, right, in the whole scheme of things. If you're worried about dying, then nausea, a little bit of nausea, all right, that's not a big deal. Uh, there's nothing extreme about what you just described. Nothing at all. At all. Not even a little bit. It's not even close. In fact, it's insulting what you just described. And you just said it was extreme. Right? But even further, you could be making that up. Easily making that up, because there's no way to prove that you were nauseous. Now, when people fall over dead due to vaccines, you could prove that they're dead by science. Or if they get crippled, say in India, you could prove that they're crippled because their legs don't no longer work. It's provable. Diabetes, so forth. You can prove all these things. Nausea, you can't prove that at all. So you could be making it up. And even if you weren't making it up, there's nothing extreme about it at all. And hypothetically, Donald Trump and different various doctors saved your life. And you're that ungrateful. Hypothetically, I don't know, but you might be that much of a witch. And you got Tom Hanks right there. Anyways, that kind of like, I just kind of wrapped my head around that and briefly got a little bit overwhelmed, to be honest with you. It's quite amazing. And so with that being said, I invite people up in the comments to let me know what it is. I mean, we're talking about, I think we laid it out. What's the simple, that's what's going on. Now they're going to say all sort of different things, and that'll be a test to people. All right, that's a big part of the test. For example, they said all these things already, like to be very fearful, to know that there is nothing that'll help you, and to panic buy and this and that, and to stay at home and never ever talk to nobody again. They've laid out all these things for our safety, and they're talking about a vaccine, but they're not at all concerned with a cure that we not only have today, but we've had for a very long time. They're not concerned about it even when it hypothetically saves their own damn lives, all right? And it's still made a political thing. So people who have been stricken into fear and paralysis, basically, in these days, they've already been affected by, what it is that they're going to be told and stuff. They've already been affected. In fact, they're, I don't know what you say, they're like replaceable. They're not by me. I think every human being is special, and, we all deserve the chance at life and stuff. But these people are like dispensable, basically, because they're in fear and panic, and they'll only bring you down like somebody who's drowning at a lake or something and desperately wants to pull you down with them. So that is going on. And they're going to keep continuing like so with their propaganda and this and that. Wear a mask, be all scared, and you're the enemy, and we're about to lock you up if you don't stay inside your house. That rhetoric is going to continue to press on certain people, and certain people who don't even want to buy into it today, they're going to wind up succumbing to it later under so much pressure and being basically starved out and smoked out of their house and stuff, man, or like just crammed into their house and then terrorized to the point is that they're going a little bit bonkers, like in The Shining. It just, yeah, of course they're doing it, and abuse is skyrocketing, but that's not, you know what I'm saying? And all sort of depression, and surely all sort of health problems and calamity. Meanwhile, the economy is kind of being put on hold now. Some people are discussing reopening, and I've been seeing what people are talking about on the federal level and stuff, on the Donald Trump level and stuff, as far as reopening, getting our business. We need to get our business squared away, for sure. And even on his level, they're talking about still being very safe and what's called social distancing. I mean, it's not a huge inconvenience in my world, but I imagine it would be in a lot of people's when it comes to social distancing. But people have their different various timelines. It's a big old tug of war and stuff. But some people are going to succumb to that sort of scare rhetoric and stuff like that. And they are going to wind up taking the vaccine. Now, that's the thing. You can get all intellectual and we could debate on whether or not this vaccine, oh man, I'm a scientist. I got a lab coat. This vaccine is going to be the greatest vaccine ever. You just wait. Bill Gates knows what he's talking about. And he's here to help us and all this. And they could get very intellectual, but I'd rather not, because it's actually very simple. Those people have been meaning, they've been planning, they've admitted to, they've talked about it publicly, their plans to take everybody for ransom and stuff a vaccine in them and to create a disease, and there's going to be a surprise disease, and Donald Trump's going to have to deal with the surprise disease a couple years from now, blah, blah, blah. Carrying on, talking about it. And so I already know what it is, and it is very simple. That vaccine, you're going to have to kill me or something. You're going to have to pin me down like I've already seen in Dallas and pump it into me all Nazi style. Meanwhile, I, you know, I doubt it's going to get to that. All right. And I don't know exactly what I would mean by that. And I'm just guessing. And it has not to do with me personally, but I doubt that it will get to that on a mass scale just because people are kind of boiling over right now. And it's interesting to note how simple it is. And in that you have to be a dum dum. You have to be blind as hell. And there are people who are. There are people who earn very good livings who are absolutely spiritually null and void. And so Bill Gates comes to them with a solution. That's their God. So they bow down and say, oh, well, of course they're going to have my safety and concern. And of course they're going to make the world better. And then after that, we'll tackle climate change just like y'all want and stuff. Meanwhile, climate change is on hold right now. Let's not worry about that because we got a new problem. But after that, let's deal with climate change again, in which we pay you all sort of damn money. And that's your point. It is very simple, and that's how God would have it. By the way, it's so simple that anybody could understand it. Anybody could. It don't matter how intellectual you are. What really does matter is how clear you can see. Can you see the truth in front of you? Has nothing to do with how smart you are at all, right? You might as well call me a dum dum. There's a lot of things I can't do, man. And it doesn't matter. It's so easy to see what the heck's going on, and just how much that we mean to them, and all their tomfoolery that they're drumming up. All right, it's real easy to see it, but you need to be able to see. All right, and it's a spiritual thing. Might I suggest that you forgive everybody, to include these people who's trying to take your life and trying to take your posterity right now. They're doing it right now. So I wanted to check out and see if Google has any sort of updates for us. All right, got to get out of here in about 10, maybe 15 minutes. So we're gonna wind it down. I still am very essential, so I'm getting paid, and I actually did not get a stimulus check, and I'm not gonna get into it. All right, it's not a big deal because I actually do have a job. All right, so I can still pay bills. Not really concerned about it. But however, people who is in my situation, if they didn't have a job and also didn't receive a stimulus check, would be absolutely screwed out of their life right now. So that's pretty messed up. I feel, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm on that footing right now. I forgot why I bring that up. But I forgot why I bring that up. But let's go through the news. But oh yeah, okay. Why I brought it up is because I am essential. All right, I'm here to tell you. But at the same time, what a lot of people are forgetting is that you're essential. In fact, everybody's essential. In fact, more so to the point, everybody's way of financially taking care of themselves is absolutely essential. All right, it doesn't take a scientist to note that. In fact, most scientists will have no idea what you're talking about. But you're essential. And people over here telling you you're not essential, especially if you don't have a job or whatever, like you got pushed out of your job. You are essential, and these people are lying to you, and they'd rather put you headlong into poverty than so much as look at you, and they're proving it right now. So that's kind of messed up. And they got all sort of tomfoolery, and it's quite obvious. But I would suggest that you forgive everybody, to include these haters trying to kill you and your children. But first, you got to forgive your parents. That's the biggest hurdle. All right, that's what I would suggest. We're not going to go too long into that, but I mean, if you never heard of that before, you have to forgive them to their face. All right, in order to even be able to really see the world for what it is. All right, it's going to be that easy. Mayor and county judge announced formation of COVID health transition team. Oh yeah, that's exactly what we need. So, as typical, our mayor is selling us down the river, and he's playing this game of waiting out the tide and just, playing it real cool. Meanwhile, putting us headlong into poverty and claiming that he's concerned about us and he's got a health transition team. He needs a business transition team, but he's a dirty dog, all right? I mean, I'm sorry, he's not a dirty dog. You can't say that on YouTube. He is an unfortunate fella. Abbott looks to reopen Texas businesses in early May, but schools will remain shuttered. You know, that's an interesting development that we've all been watching in Texas. We got a certain thing going on here, but much like across the country, as I expected from day one. When they said they were making spring break for one extra week, I was like, school's over. School's out for the rest of the year. And most people who I know probably said that on the internet, but you know, people out in the real world, they actually believed it. That's called giving a moose a muffin, right? It's one of the oldest tricks in the book, all right? Trifling, dude, but yeah, it's so easy to pull their little games. But you know, I thought that was kind of interesting, especially because meanwhile, see what this is if you describe it in one word, is a revelation. What we're going through, you might say disease, plague, calamity, chaos. You might think of all sort of different words to call this. Injustice, overreach, domination. There's so many words that you could describe it. Fear, anxiety, uncertainty. All right. I would describe it as revelation, a giant revelation in so many different ways. And I'm seeing some of it, but it's like I mean, there's so many different ways that it's going to take a while to actually take it all in and absorb the different revelations that are happening. And one such revelation is that we don't need schools, these public schools, at all. And some people, it's like some people knew that already, and some people knew that it's just full of satanic rituals up in there, and that's basically all it is, and indoctrination. But there's some people out there who they needed it. They needed it because they had to go to work, and a lot of people, they don't have a job to worry about right now. And there's many, many untold amount of people in Texas who are realizing, damn, why are we even sending our child to school? And the answer is for no good reason, right? Meanwhile, they do want to monopolize that over the internet and stuff, and they want to like still have some sort of organization in which they get all sort of money while teaching your children on the internet. You don't even have to do that. It's been made very simple that you don't even have to do that. You got an internet connection, you can get any kind of education you wanted to, for whatever price that you wanted to, and it is that easy. And if you're so scared, which I know nobody's thinking about anymore, but if you're so scared of mass shootings in schools, which are completely rare, the solution is now forced upon us. All right, not me, but it's forced upon people out there who's got little children in school. And there you go. There is the solution. And it's been done for you. It's just a revelation. You realize now it's not even as hard as they made it out to be. Like they have any sort of like sense. They don't. All right. They're wasting all sort of time in school. And a lot of these kids aren't even going to online school, and it's funny. All right. But those schools are going to shut down. I wish they would shut down forever, to be honest. Who needs them? Gold's Gym permanently closing 3. It doesn't matter. But they're closing out their gyms. Thing is, it doesn't really matter, but I gotta let y'all know, you guys, just for like health benefits are concerned, there's all sort of things that you could do, like whatever you like to do as far as physical activity, you know, and have fun. You can go outside and do these things, all right? Meanwhile, they're trying to crack down on that. That's pretty blasphemous, but you could do all sort of things, riding bikes. I've seen people do it. I've seen people go out there and just do what they like. Meanwhile, if your thing is going to the gym and getting all pumped up, I'm sure you're realizing now, it's another revelation. You're realizing now you don't need the gym if you're resourceful at all. If you have any sort of sense and listen to the right people, you can create a gym, an entire one for like tops $50, all right? Honestly, if you were to get all sort of different things and do all sort of different workouts, you can replicate all those things in the gym and you don't need it. And that's an example of, see, it's a collapse, right? And some people say, well, certain companies and stuff shouldn't get any money. In fact, they should be allowed to collapse because they're not even necessary. All right. And when people say that with good intent, and I do agree with it, there's big companies that make all sort of money that honestly they aren't necessary. In fact, they kind of stifle small business around them, right, and monopolize all sort of business. Like, i.e., there could be mom and pop shops with small gyms, right? They're being driven out of business because of this big gym, right? And so poor them, they're losing all this money and they're closing down these places. All right. Meanwhile, they've been charging all sort of money, and I guess people used to have money to burn, but they're realizing, oh man, I can't have this. I can't have a gym subscription, obviously. And meanwhile, they're closed anyway, so why would I be paying them? And they won't even let me in the building, and so I got to think of a different way. So it's an example of a business that quite rightfully should shut down and never open again, right? And it's kind of preposterous. But however, they're going to receive all sort of stimulus, and for what? Right? What good do they do? In fact, we'd have a lot more power if they didn't exist at all. In fact, people would be probably more healthy and more in shape if they just didn't exist. All right. A Fox News host asked Fauci a question. She got the wrong answer. That's unfortunate. That was Laura Ingraham. She's talking about relief and reckoning. I'm not sure exactly what she was saying. I didn't see this video, but I heard about it. China has blood on its hands for coronavirus, according to Laura Ingraham, who's a straight up and down G. All right. People got a lot to say. And I welcome the dialogues and the debates and the disagreements. All right. Meanwhile, I totally agree. It's like, oh yeah, Laura Ingraham, she's part of the Mossad, or she's this, and that. She's an agent, and this and that. Of course, you could say this, but the problem is, forget communist China, and there should be a reckoning. And might I be the one? Because here's the thing. Michael Savage, he's out there and he's disagreeing with right-wing people, and he's saying blah blah blah. They're tripping. You might not have heard of this, and really, in the whole scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But Michael Savage is kind of a big name, and he's saying people are being very xenophobic. It's like, dude, they only created that word a couple years ago. This xenophobic stuff. I never heard of it. And so even he's saying, oh, people are being xenophobic, so this is xenophobic or whatever to Chinese. It's like, okay, well, first of all, could you stop using leftist terms? All right. And I got respect for Michael Savage, but, getting a little bit tired. Could you stop using leftist terms, for one? And I can see his meaning, like, if we were to all turn on Chinese people right now in a country of America, that would be a problem. That doesn't make any sense. And I would agree. People of ethnicity of China, from Chinese ethnicity, if we were to turn on them, that doesn't make any sense. I don't even like using the word xenophobia because it's not a damn word, Michael Savage. But he's all concerned about that. Has nothing to do with that. And the thing is, of course, he'd be concerned. That's the thing. Not only do we got all this false propaganda on our hands telling us to be fearful, but now on the right wing they're saying, well, what about China? Don't they have some explaining to do? And my thing is, in concerns for justice, yeah, of course they have explaining to do. In fact, I don't trust their explaining anyways. I figure that they're lying, and that's a problem. Right? You could turn around and say, oh, I don't see it, I don't know, we're just going to pretend it came out of a wet market. No, it did not come out of a wet market. Right? You can pretend all you want. I mean, stay there sitting, playing and pretending. All right? And whether or not it was an accident or on purpose really doesn't matter to me. Deserve an apology. And perhaps reparations from China. Whether or not we're going to, I mean, at least an apology. Okay, for example, say we're not to give America and the rest of the world, by the way, because the rest of the world is really going to suffer even before America does. That's kind of how the world works. All right, so if they were to not issue an apology, or for that matter, reparations, then I'm not saying go to war with them. I'm not saying start bombing them. I mean, how retarded could that be? Of course, that would be World War IV or V or whatever one we're on right now. I'm not saying that. All right, and I'm not xenophobic. That's a word that's made up. Meanwhile, people have some damn accountability on their hands right now. And I know I'm saying it because I'm tired of people looking at me saying that they're gonna pump me with the mystery potion. Meanwhile, the origin of this whole thing, you're not gonna think about it. Meanwhile, Donald Trump does steadily bring this up, and I do appreciate it. That China has some explaining to do. Laura Ingraham said they have some explaining to do. We need results. Okay, and then you might say, well, what are you gonna do if you don't get results? You're gonna bomb them? I'm not in charge of no bombs. And no, I don't even endorse that. What we would do, and I think it's what I'm saying right now, whether or not I'm here, I could die today. It don't matter. But what the direction that I'm seeing is that people are realizing that it's actually a very simple notion to say, hey, it's not about bombing China. Lord knows the biggest victims of Chinese communist policy are Chinese people. That should go without saying. And so why are we even saying it? All right? Of course it is. Why would we be xenophobic to the biggest victims of their perpetration? That doesn't make any sense. Meanwhile, those people need to be put in check, and I mean put in check hard. How do you do that? Is it through nuclear bombs? That doesn't make any sense. Not even a little bit. No, the idea is that we turn inside of ourselves and we think to ourselves, do we have any pride of where we come from? Right? Is it worth a damn the soil that we were born and raised on? Is it? Okay, well, in that case, let's cut China out of the middleman. The thing is, we don't need no damn China. And I think economists will tell you for a while now, China for sure needs us way more than we need it. Right? And the thing is, hypothetically, if we were put China in the situation of just cutting them off, we don't want your damn products. You can keep them. Right? We got our own thing going on over here to include drugs that we need to develop our own damn selves and supplements and all sort of things. That I'm talking about major industry coming back to America rightfully. We can cut China off, and yeah, we'd have to pay all sort of money. Here's the thing: we're going into economically, no matter which way you cut this pie, we're going, or I don't know how you say it, but we're going into economic depression. It's going to be hard. There's not one person who's listening to my words who's not going to suffer, right? Quite a bit throughout this next short period. All right, but at the same time, cutting China off, it's not about dropping bombs. It's about turning our head and looking away and saying, whatever. Do whatever you want to do. All right, why don't you make your damn move? But we don't have to buy your crap. In fact, who are you going to sell your crap to now? That's interesting. All right, meanwhile, what it would do, I would think, is put China in such a precarious situation that their overwhelming population would be forced to turn on their own leaders. And it's unfortunate. They'd be forced to, though. And we wouldn't have nothing to do with it. In fact, it's none of our damn business. Why don't they take care of themselves? Meanwhile, they might get someone to take over who might not want to drop diseases or accidentally illegal diseases at such a convenient time for them. Their new leader might be a lot better. And that's what I would be suggesting. That just seems obvious. But what does that entail? I think it entails a whole world of things. And you can go down any avenue, all right? Seems like we ran out of time and stuff. So I'll check out the comments before I get out of here. If you were able to leave a comment, blah, 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 blah. I thank you. If you weren't, I thank you. And I appreciate you. I see you out there. But I don't know what it is. And I'm not here to tell you what it is, all right? You know what it is. You look inside yourself. Peer inside yourself, you know what it is. And it might not just be one thing. In fact, it might be a whole slew of things. But what can we do that we maybe hadn't even been doing already? What can we do to make sure that this goes into effect? How about forget the Communist Chinese Party? How about all their corruption and all this? And these organizations that we're supposed to support for no good reason with all our money? How about forget that? How about we take care of ourselves? And we're going to have to do it in such a way that we haven't done it before. All right. We're definitely going to have to come out of our comfort zones. In fact, we're going to be forced out of our comfort zones. All right. So what can we do? I mean, nothing, the plans of mice and men go astray, and everybody knows that. So I just leave it at that. But at the same time, there's no reason to not work towards a better future, I think. Right? Some people might dispute me out there, but I don't see no reason not to work towards a better future. Right? A future in which we cut out any sort of communist nation. Oh, you're communist? Cut you off forever. Right? Don't even look at us. In fact, don't let us catch you looking at us if you're a communist country, and cut them off, right? And we don't need none of their product, nothing, right? Nothing. So whatever, we'll take care of the food, for example. And that's an example that I'm going with. But there's many different examples of what you could do to what you could take advantage of right now, because it's all sort of opportunity for anybody out there. No matter your capabilities, look inside yourself, and you're going to see that there's something to do that's right in front of you. You don't have to think very hard. You don't have to wait on it. There's something right in front of you. That's where you could start. And a lot of people have already done this, all right? A lot of people, well before I figured it, I mean, it's not that I figured it out, but it's dawning on me more and more that we had to be more industrious in certain ways in order to combat even having anything to do with communism at all, which would involve our being more self-sufficient, as people have been talking for a long time. All right, self-sufficient. What can you provide that people are going to go crazy for, and people are going to use a lot? Now, for example, just put a personal thing out there, like as an example. I wanted to make this business. I've been thinking about it since last year, and I kind of had to wait till this year for the growing season, right? And that I want to plant. I got a couple different places in which I can plant a garden, and I've been thinking about it for a while. Just got to get a vehicle, talking to people about it right now, all right? And so my idea was to sell produce, right? Which is good enough. Like, people need produce nowadays, and not only that, I know some farmers and stuff, so I can get their produce in the meantime, and just start being a hub for produce, a one-man market, if you will. And in fact, that's what it's called, the one-man market. I got a business name and everything. I got a tax ID and all that. So that was my idea, which is good enough. And people are going to need that because there's uncertainty there. You know, people are going to want a good produce man, probably. All right. So that's already in the works. But it dawned on me recently to go all nutballs with it. Right. I don't have the gardens established yet in these properties that I've been talking to people about. But I got plants, a whole bunch of plants. Now, right now they're on my patio, my back patio here in this apartment. And I already had a bunch of plants, these little plants of various stages. They're tiered off because I just want like a nonstop flow of plants. And that's what I already had. But recently I actually bumped up that number. Because anybody knows who's had gardens and stuff and planting out, you can only have so many plants per garden and stuff. Like, if you make a million different little plants, you're not going to have anywhere to put them. All right. And so they're going to wind up dying and just being kind of a waste of seeds. Probably every gardener has been through that. All right. Because you want to get so expansive and you get kind of obsessed that you're like, oh, how much can I make? How much can I make? So after a while, you get an idea of that number. Meanwhile, I just thought it into my own head. Okay, there's very likely that we could be having food problems, food shortages here in the near future. Let's say it doesn't happen. Well, God bless us, we pulled through it. But it could happen the next year. Could happen the next year. And so on and so forth. So that is a problem. It's already shown itself to be a problem, right? So it dawned in my head, I'm just going to make so many damn plants that it's ridiculous, right? And you might think, well, what could I do with all that? It's been coming to me, it's been being revealed to me that if I plant them, people will come. And I get that feeling. I don't know about where you're at, but I got that feeling. If I plant them, people will come. And that if I make these plants, people are going to want the plants. Not only will I have, I'll have produce and all this and the farmer's market type stuff to sell, and that was already the idea, but also have half of the business being selling plants, selling these vegetables, selling things that people can eventually eat, and they could start off on a small scale. Maybe they were not familiar with this sort of stuff, but it's now being put in their mind, especially because they're not sure about their job and they're thinking about food. They might think, oh, well, I'm in an apartment, but if I could have a couple of plants on the patio. Wouldn't that be interesting? And when it starts with that, it only continues. You don't just, most people don't just plant a few plants successfully and then stop. They want more. They want more and more. All right, so there's going to be a lot of people who are just starting off on that journey right now, and they're going to need plants, especially. And I want to make so many plants, and yeah, I'm going to sell a lot of them, but I want to make so many plants that I'll just be giving out plants to people. And I have a lot of coworkers. There's a lot of people that come around who just, I'll throw plants at people. I'll be like Johnny Appleseed with plants. All right, so even the plants that I give away, there's a 50-50 chance that those plants will come up to fruition and be food somewhere on earth. I'll maybe never see that food ever. It does not matter. I will be a part of creating food wherever it's at, whoever it feeds. I will have been a part of that by simply planting those plants right now. And just an absurd amount. Now, I could plant less plants than that, but the less plants that I plant, the less people inevitably are going to be able to eat food from those plants. So the idea is I'm going to just go all out planting plants, even if I have no place to put them. All right, it's an idea, something, it's just an extra step in which I didn't even have planned out. I wasn't going to do, but the communist Chinese and Bill Gates and Fauci and all those people have forced my hand. And I've made it to where, oh yeah, now it is balls to the wall. Oh yeah, now it is every waking moment. I'm thinking about how to take you out on a business scale. All right, and that's about it. Anyways, holler at me with y'all's ideas and stuff like that. What y'all might be doing as far as sticking it to the communist Chinese all day, every day. If I get banned, I'll be on BitChute, which I've been neglecting it, but I will be there if I get banned here on YouTube. So look for me on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. If you don't see me, I may or may not be banned over there, and I'll be on BitChute and D Live, which I should already have. In fact, on Monday, I may very well, over this weekend, I should be looking into the D Live thing and figuring all that out because YouTube is what it is, and I'll holler at y'all a little bit later. It's April the 17th, 2020.